All right, I am super excited to be here with a bunch of the nature journaling teachers from Wild Wonder. Everybody hold up your nature journals and sketchbooks. Look at all of these awesome teachers, artists, and educators that we have here. I am so excited to be here with all of you tonight. And if you're all watching this live, post any questions that you have in the comments section, in the chat section, and I'll try to translate those over to our guests. But let's go ahead and just get introductions from everybody first. So if you could, these are the first questions to introduce our guests tonight. Just share I think everybody can see your names. So if you could just share your name, your favorite food, the name of your class, and summarize your class in 3 words. Is that too many questions all at once?
Yep.
Can you do that? Or should we just go? Okay, let's just do your name and your favorite food in one round, and then we'll go into the next one. So name and favorite food, starting with Kate.
All right, my name is Kate Rutter, and my favorite food is popcorn because it starts in one state, and when you apply heat and pressure, it becomes something beautiful and nutritious.
Oh, nice. Karen?
I'm Karen Romano Young, and I love coconut, and I don't have a good reason for it. Great.
Melinda?
Let's see. I'm Melinda Nakagawa. Gosh, my favorite food. This is really hard. It's going to be something vegan, and I'm recently gluten-free, so I'm trying to find a new favorite. But what comes to mind right now is vegan gyoza, which is a Japanese pot sticker.
Nice.
Hey, I'm Kristin Antonio, and I'd like to say that my favorite food is probably cheese. I love cheese. Rally, I do.
Mark, you're muted.
I'm Mark Simmons, and I forgot how to work the mute button. I was going to say cheese, and then Kristin completely stole my thunder. But there's nothing wrong with also liking cheese, so it's 2 votes for cheese. Cheese wins.
All right, nice. Thanks, everybody, and get used to it, Mark, because you're going to be the last one in a lot of the circles. So great answers, everybody. And okay, so now let's go to the next part. And this is what everybody really wants to know, because there's a lot of people here who are going to be going to Wild Wonder. They want to get an idea about the different teachers, the different styles, your personalities and stuff like that. So right now, let's just see if you can say the name of your class, and then summarize your class in 3 words. And you can be creative, like what would be the 3 words that would describe your class or sort of poetically give a feeling for your class. So the actual name of your class and 3 words to describe it.
So I'll go first. The name of the class is the Sensational Nature Journal. That's a play on words for sensory. And the 3 words are embodied, multisensory, and experimental.
I'm Karen, and I don't remember the exact name of my class, but I will tell you what it's all about. It's about telling your story, your science story, through your drawing.
Great.
All right. The name of my class is Dive In, ! Journaling Marine Wildlife of Monterey Bay. And 3 words to describe my class. I think it's going to be loose live sketching.
Nice.
I think my class will be after Melinda's on Wednesday, and my session's called Microscopic Observation of the Natural World, and it'll be fun, a little emotional, because we'll be seeing live video of pond water and see microscopic organisms, so maybe exciting, fascinating, and I'm going to throw in captivating.
Nice.
Okay, and I'm doing cartooning techniques for nature journaling. I think it's going to be on Saturday, so it's going to be right at the end of the conference after everybody's completely like, your brains will be full to bursting with everybody else's awesome stuff. So I'm just going to kind of sneak in at the end, much as I'm doing here, and just add a little thing. So if I had to pick 3 words, I would say sequential. I'm going to say that a lot. Communication and play.
Did you say play?
I said play. I didn't say play. I said play. But yeah,
Play.
essentially the same thing. Just with
Okay,
the hand
great.
gesture.
Great. Awesome, everybody. Just wanted to say hi to, I'm going to say hi to some of the people that are here in the live chat. There's a bunch of people watching live. Hi, everybody. I want to just say hello to Terry, Jean, Eli, and Ivea, who have all commented in the comments here. Welcome, everybody. If you have any questions, please post them. And for people who are watching this in the recorded version, I hope you enjoy it and learn something about our instructors, and you all go to Wild Wonder. Just one thing for the guests, if the mute thing is annoying, don't worry about it. I don't think we're having any audio issues, so you can just stay off mute as long as you don't have a dog barking in the background or anything like that. Okay, so here is the next question, and this is sort of more of a scenario. Let's pretend like I just came out of your class. I just took your class at Wild Wonder. I just finished the Zoom class. Now I have like a short break maybe before my next class. What am I feeling? What kind of feeling am I coming out of your class with?
Oh, I love that one. I think victorious is the word that comes to mind for that. I want people to feel like they've kind of gone somewhere new and conquered something really meaningful and have some visual evidence to show for it. But the thing they'll probably do is I think they might be a little hungry, hopefully not hangry, because that's not great. But I want them to grab a snack, and I actually have my snack because I get hangry. And instead of just like biting into it to get the food, I want them to like smell it and feel it and really taste it, and then run to their journal and put it all down.
Wow. Okay.
I think there will be some surprise about things like skunks. There will be some surprise that I can really write this way. I can really draw and write at the same time and tell a story from my own expertise and have people engaged in looking at it and reading it. That is exciting. I can't wait to get started.
Awesome.
And skunks.
Great. Melinda?
All right. So how will they feel after my class was the question. I think that they will leave in awe and amazement of such amazing wildlife that exists in Monterey, and the fact that not long ago they were almost wiped out to, some of them were wiped out to extinction. Some of them are still on the brink of extinction. And so we'll just give this sense of joy to see them alive, and reverence for their presence and appreciation.
Great.
I hope that people walk away from my session feeling empowered and confident and confirm what they're already doing. We know that because of the pandemic, we really had to shift on how we are doing our nature journaling, like even from your fridge, right, Marley? Nature journaling from your fridge. And so with microscopic observation, I want the attendees to feel like I can do this, and I don't need some highfalutin, fancy schmancy equipment to do it either. And I really hope that they have an appreciation for not only plants and animals, but fungi and protists. And I want to, I hope that the participants feel inspired in looking at new ways to observe interactions at the microscopic level. We always do it at the macroscopic level, but how can we, how can we find these interactions of biotic and abiotic factors in the ecosystems and in a microscopic world?
Yes, I can't believe you said biotic and abiotic. I'm hopefully doing an interview next Wednesday about nature journaling abiotic thing. So
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah, I'll definitely be, the interactions will be with other organisms. Like, yeah, what are the complex ways in which organisms interact? But how are organisms limited by the abiotic factors as well, such as temperature, climate, water, light, space, nutrients, minerals, land?
Great. Awesome. Mark?
Okay. Well, I can tell you straight up that when they come out of my thing, they're going to be tired because it's like the Saturday. If you did the virtual conference last year, it's awesome stuff, but it's a lot to take in over several days. So they're going to be tired. But what I'm hoping, if you feel empowered to do anything in particular after my session, it'll be to like on the piece on your notebook page where you're kind of taking notes. I want people to feel empowered to draw like a little stick figure or smiley face or whatever of them going, I'm tired, but excited, but tired. To be comfortable expressing themselves and kind of representing what they think and feel in their journal rather than feeling everything has to be kind of Audubon ready. So, yeah.
Wow, this is quite a common. If I took all of your classes, I would have a very nice cocktail of feelings at the end of Wild Wonder. So it's really nice to kind of hear a little bit and imagine a little bit about what our students are going to feel when they come out of our classes. Because I think sometimes we're so focused on what they're going to know, what we're going to say, what they're going to think about, you know, our haircut or whatever. So thinking about what they're going to feel when they come out is a really useful. Okay, cool. So my next question is, and this is like, I'm really focusing on these questions that kind of limit how much you can say, because I think that is, you know, important to realize like what is actually essential about what you're doing or what you're teaching. But if you could only teach one thing, or you could only give one lesson to your students, and they could only take away one thing, because, you know, people don't really, you know, the memory thing, they've done a lot of studies on memory, but if they could only leave that class with one little nugget, what would be the most valuable nugget? What would be that one thing, that one moral or lesson, or what would be that one nugget that you would want them to leave with?
Nice. This is a kind of like popcorn. It's going to explode a little bit, but I would say the attention of drawing smells, sounds, tastes, and touch. And actually, that's the full reveal. Like, I'm just not even going to bury the lead. I'm going to say, like, if you just know and are aware that there's this whole world of sensory perception that we generally don't capture, like, we way over-index on visual observation. That's why I'm so excited about these other courses and using science stories and sequential and looking at these life beings in Monterey Bay, and Kristin with your incredible, wonderful terminology, which I need to take your course to be able to understand and leverage. But like, a lot of this stuff is hidden, but it's only hidden because we're not looking at it. And so I think if there's one thing, it's the visual can be a cornerstone, but there's like step outside of that and your world just unfolds. The world just unfolds into this dynamic of observation and feeling and sensory stimulation that, can you imagine the data? Like, oh my God, the data. So that's what the one thing. Lots of words, but one thing.
I'm going to eat a little piece of chocolate on that note while we transitioned over to Karen.
I would say it's about who are you and what do you know and what are you going to tell somebody else through your drawing. I come from a place where I feel as though my superpower in science is being dumb sometimes, and finding the thing that I am really excited about to share and to draw, even if I don't know what it is. I do a lot of drawing of things that I don't know what they are. I draw a lot of machines in the field. And then I go back to the scientist and say, what is this? But I've already figured things out a little bit by drawing it. And I would encourage people to draw stuff, whether it's an animal, a machine, even a person that you're interested in, without knowing what it is ahead of time.
Wow, powerful.
This is tough to pick one thing, Marley. But I think what's coming, kind of bubbling up to the top, is one thing that I want the participants to take away is to be present in the moment with whatever piece of nature they're with. Just be present and just do it. Right? Just dive in, sketch it, write down what you observe, start observing, just start on the page, right? Be present and start on the page. Don't worry about what it looks like, what it needs to look like, what your skills are, what you know, what you don't know. Just start.
Wow. Okay.
What does it mean to be living? What does it mean to be alive? There are 7 characteristics that all living things share. And the one thing that my workshop is going to focus on is interaction of organisms with other organisms and their environment, symbiotic relationships.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. I think if there's one thing that I would love to be able to kind of take from my head and put into the heads of everyone else, it's the practice of looking at a page you've made and just asking yourself, where do my eyes go? I feel like that's the only principle of design I really care about. Just the ability to look at that and go, okay, what draws my eye? And then what? And then what?
Awesome. Wow, this is really cool. I feel like if I just looked at the names of your classes, I wouldn't know what that one key takeaway is necessarily, because so many of these feel so meta or so philosophical. There's a lot of really deep, transferable kind of skills inside of those things that you all just mentioned. So that is really, really awesome. And really, what's the word? I almost want to say ambitious. Like, those are big things. Like, those are really big things that apply to a lot of aspects of life. So thanks. And to a lot of aspects of nature journaling and art besides just that specific topic or thematic, niche that you're teaching about. So that is really awesome. So my next question is, if you have a total newbie, if there's someone in your class that has never nature journaled at all before, maybe they're a little bit intimidated because they don't have an art background and maybe they don't have any type of natural history background, how will your class work for someone who is a complete nature journaling beginner? And maybe like you hear this or you see this in the feedback or in the questions at some point during the class, that they have a lot of self-doubt, they're a complete beginner, and they feel like they can't do the things that you are demonstrating.
Yeah, I think that's a really important question. Last year, when things went online, there were so many people who were just starting their nature journal practice, and I that struck me by surprise. So now we have an opportunity to really capitalize and embrace that as a great thing. So I've been thinking a lot about that. I think that, going back to what Melinda said, there's just you start wherever you're at and with whatever you've got. So just bring that whatever you have to the page or to the thinking. One of the things, though, that's specific about the material I'll be sharing is that it doesn't expect any kind of visual practice, an existing visual practice. There's no direct observation of smell. There's no standard for this, and that lack of standard means we're all free. Right? Like you can't compare the smell to how you've documented it. No way to do it. It's all based on subjective, direct experience. And that lived experience, you're already an expert in. So if you're willing to do the one small step, do the step directly in front of you, don't necessarily think about the big picture, just think about the one thing you can do. It's like a path. The path is made by walking, and we'll be taking those steps together.
My stuff involves a lot of combining images with words. And it doesn't have to start with some beautiful drawing. It can end with that, but it doesn't have to. It can be collage, it can be photography, it can be a stick figure, it can be beautiful drawing. But what's important to me is that you have an idea in your head of what image you want to show, and that then you can talk about it. And say, here are the parts of the butterfly. There's an antenna. What does it do? I don't have to be able to draw it perfectly. I can find it wherever I find it. And maybe collaborate with someone else as well. That's another important part of what I do, is the idea that it isn't just you. It can be a number of people working together on something.
All right. I think for someone who's new, who's never nature journaled, we're going to walk through the steps of how you would nature journal. If you were here in Monterey with me and we were seeing this marine life, whether it's on the water or under the water or above the water, flying in the air, I'll walk through how we would nature journal together. Like, how would you do the steps of sketching and making the observations and writing what you notice, and any questions that come up and what you're wondering. I'll share some information about the marine life, so you don't have to have any background in drawing or science or any terminology. I'm planning to create a PDF of any of the marine information I give, so that we don't get caught up in, I don't want this to be like a lecture where you're scribbling down notes. I want it to be an interactive nature journal experience, as though we're all together in Monterey and we're nature journaling together. So, again, start where you are, just pick up that pen or pencil, put it to the page, and begin. Right. So I'm thinking of the Lao Tzu quote of journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. With anything, it's just that one step. So if you have enough courage to put that pen to the page and give it a try, then you're on your way.
My advice would be a small notebook. I have a big old notebook because I love a lot of space. But when you're starting out, a small notebook. And I use the curriculum that Jack Laws has on the California Academy website for educators. And it's called Introduction to Scientific Sketching. And there's the A, B, C, D, E. Accurate to the best of your ability. Don't draw a cartoon image of a tree. Try and, try and do your best, honest effort, best effort. So accurate, big enough, the 85% rule. You want to have 85% of your page filled up with stuff. Colorful, but if you can't do colorful, then add D, detail, make up for lack of color with more detail. If you want it to look more realistic, then add more detail. And then E, explanation. So accurate, big enough, colorful, detailed, explanation. And I took Melinda's Spark in Nature workshop earlier this year, and one of the challenges that she had us do was, to write your I see, I think, I wonder questions, and then after you put them on the page, now come up with 3 more. And, that really, encourages too. So you want to make sure that, you have, just fill up the page as much as you can. And that's okay. Don't worry about it, looking the way you want. And makeup, if your picture is tiny and you're not feeling confident and, making a big illustration, then make up for it with your thoughts and words and observations.
I feel almost personally like Crosshair did that one. Don't just draw a cartoon of a tree, and I went,
Come on now.
But it's kind of fun to be kind of, in opposition, though. So maybe you'll get a little bit of the other option here. What I was going to say is, for what I'm talking about, just storytelling and kind of communication and so on, sometimes it's actually okay to draw a crummy cartoon tree. So the bar for what I'm talking about is actually extremely low in terms of artistic accomplishment. what that makes me think of is, say, if you're working with kids and they're like, oh, draw a butterfly, draw a bee. And if I'm drawing a bee, I'm probably going to draw something like that. You know, la, 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 I want to get all the little bits and the little pollen baskets on the legs. And if you're kind of doing a cartooning class with little kids, they'll go, no, what's that? That's not a bee. You know, draw a bee, you know, like that. That's what they want to see. And there's a role for that. So for my purposes, if it communicates your idea to the person who's looking at it, it's not wrong. And we can all communicate. So that's my answer.
All right, great. Okay, so now that was really cool to hear everybody's answers to that one. Now, so on the other end of the spectrum, say you have a total expert in your class, someone who thinks that they know everything about the subject that you're teaching. Maybe they're bored, or they say, I've done that, or I already know about marine invertebrates so much. I'm already, you know, a professional cartoonist for 25 years. I work at DC or something. I don't know. So pretend that you have someone in your class that is maybe an expert either on the natural history or science side, or an expert on the art side, and they think that they already know all the answers. How would you, or maybe they don't think that they know all the answers, but they're advanced. How will your class accommodate that type of person?
That's good. You know, I'm not convinced that disengagement correlates with skill and expertise, but I think boredom comes in all different, you know, or resistance, boredom, whatever it is, comes in all shapes and flavors. So I might give, like, nobody has to come, right? Like, if this is not your jam, go out and nature journal for 90 minutes. Like, be good to yourself. We've been through a rough year. If you do want to stay, I can pretty much guarantee that if you have an extensive visual practice, you're still probably not fully expertise in translating sensory information, because I've done a lot of looking and thinking and exploring and foraging out there, and it's not very common. We talk about stopping to smell the flowers, but we're much more likely to stop and sketch the flowers, right? And so you take a look at the flowers and things, and very rarely do they say smells sweet. It can even be as simple as that. Melinda's done a wonderful dawn chorus with bird song and bird sounds, but even so much of the upwelling of birding and bird visuals within the nature journaling community, it's very seldom that you see a description of what the birds are saying and how they're sounding. So I think that the likelihood, this is such a weird freaking topic, right? Like, the likelihood of expertise is low, and that's actually where I excel. I'm not good in expert communities. I'm a collective learner. So I like to be doing some things that maybe are orthogonal or not really in the sweet spot of mastery, let's say. So that way we all get to collectively invent it and discover it ourselves. And that's kind of the philosophy that I bring. I create the space, I offer some invitation, but ultimately we kind of collectively learn together. So that said, if this is not your jam, don't come, do something else. Like, be good to yourself.
Great.
My answer is to get yourself out on the edge of what you don't know. You don't know everything. Your job is to go and find something that interests you because it's new to you and share it on with somebody else. And you can do that by going and looking for something really complicated, or you can sit down and draw the nearest simple machine, your pencil sharpener, your scissors, your bicycle, and tell me what surprised you about drawing that. What did you learn about that item by drawing it? And what can you share on to us? What part of it was hard to draw? Put yourself in a place where you don't know what you're doing.
Oh gosh, I've loved the responses so far. I want to be both of your everyone's classes. And you know, to what I would say is, first is, if the title of my class and the description doesn't interest you, then you don't have to come. I mean, I always tell my students, nature journal what captures your attention. So if your thing is not leaves that, or hydrangeas, then don't draw hydrangea. Go to whatever. And sometimes it's about just slowing down so you can even notice in your body when you read the title. Does that sound interesting? Instead of like, I'm going to go to every class and check it off my list, because that will be a disservice, right? If you go to every class, you're not going to remember them all. So actually tuning into your body and choosing maybe not all of them live this week, maybe half of them that you can really be present, so that you're not going to be at Mark's class being completely exhausted, right? And then the others you might listen to on a recording, so that you can get the most out of that 90 minutes that you're sitting with that instructor who's sharing with you their years of expertise, the cultivated skill set, the awareness, the strategies that they've developed, and the way that they look at the world and the way that they present the class. So you're going to benefit from that if you can slow down and choose the ones that really speak to you. But I'm going to say that if you think you know everything about marine animals, what I do is, if it's a topic that I'm familiar with, I go with the idea to find more joy. Because like Karen says, you don't know everything about everything. And if you can come from this idea of, I'm going to borrow from Zen tradition of beginner's mind, right? If I feel like I'm the expert, then I have no room to learn. So I might as well not go to the class at all, right? But if I come to, there's always something new I can learn. Like, I go to classes because I want to see how you see the world. And what is something in your class or someone else's nature journal page that I can harvest, right? And incorporate in my style. So any of you that feel like you're experts or have great expertise in nature journaling, come with that lens of like, what other juicy, fun thing might you harvest in this class? And what's one new observation that you might find? Even if you know all kinds of things about sea otters, there's going to be something that you might notice that's different, that stands out.
Nice. Thank you. All right, next.
About that. Well, don't ask me anything about the names of the microorganisms, because I'm not going to know, and I'm going to be really surprised if there's going to be someone that's going to know the name of all the organisms. I will provide in the sketch a handout, a simple guide to freshwater microorganisms, but I don't know what they're all called or their names or binomial nomenclature and all that. And I am going to encourage the participants of the workshop to look for symbiotic relationships. Then I would encourage those who do know more about that to identify what those relationships are called, such as mutualism, commensalism, predator-prey, competition, whatever.
Great.
Okay. As the person who comes last, I get to just kind of go, okay, my answer is a synthesis of Kate's and Melinda's. What I'm talking about is, as Kate put it, kind of orthogonal to what a lot of people are inclined to do. It's kind of left field. It's kind of a weird thing. So the odds that we'll have a lot of people who already like comic nature journaling are pretty low. There are some, I know some people in our community have like really dived into that and kind of, are already doing like awesome stuff. But for most people, it's going to be a weird new thing that they'll maybe kind of be approaching kind of with some skepticism and doubt, which is a fun place for learning. And it's also a kind of a field of endeavor where you really benefit from comparing notes with people, because everybody's approach is going to be so idiosyncratic that if you do get into it, then the thing you want to do is you want to see what other people are doing and how they go about it and steal their ideas and add them to your own. So it's a win-win, I think. I would say that.
All right, great. Well, I think it's go ahead, Mark. One more thing. Go ahead.
Oh, and you have to come to my class. This one's not optional.
Well, I think it's a really good sign that all of these classes and much of nature journaling is something that can be interesting for a complete beginner and for someone that is more advanced or has more skill, or maybe there's not even maybe people that have a lot of skill or practice in these areas don't exist, because like as Kate mentioned, as many of your subjects are things that are pretty new, pretty cutting edge. So we're at the vanguard, and I think that's an exciting place to be. All right, so this has been pretty philosophical and deep with these answers. So let's do sort of a little quick round here, and we're gonna reverse the order and start with Mark. So if you could just summarize your teaching style or your teaching personality in one word, what one word would you use to kind of give people a feeling of your teaching style or your teaching personality? You can use a little bit of gesture as well, but what is one word to give people just a feel of your style a little bit?
I'm going to use a hyphen and say hand talk.
Hand talk, great.
I've been told I'm energetic. I have a lot of energy.
One word only.
Yeah, energetic.
Okay.
All right, I'm not going to get cut off, so I'm going to pick one word. I would say welcoming.
Bubbles.
I'm going to say sly.
Oh, sly. Wow. Okay. I'm so glad I asked this question. That is really fun. Okay, so let's do this. Let's shift a little bit here and we'll give people a little bit of an idea about the backgrounds that we're coming from, which I think is not always the most important thing, but can be interesting. So let's start with this question where what is something, maybe describe how your unique background influences your nature journaling. So, like, is there something in your background, whether that's academic or personal or a career thing, that influences your nature journaling that people wouldn't necessarily think of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I see how that is connected. I've heard multiple people use the word orthogonal. So what is something in your background that informs your nature journaling that people might not expect? And we're going to put pressure on Mark here and kind of relieve Kate a little bit. So we're going to keep going in that order, starting with Mark.
Okay, so I'm thinking this is less of a question about our CV and more about kind of, mindset, right? So I would say in general, I'm a latecomer to everything. Art isn't my first career. Nature journaling wasn't my first love. I didn't go to school for any of this. So I tend to approach things from a kind of like naive external thing where it's like, ooh, that interests me. What does it look like? What's going on here? Okay, now I want to learn more about it. What's that called? What's this about? Ooh, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Everything for me is kind of curiosity driven. I don't investigate something until I care about it. I don't care about it until I look at it. And I don't look at it until I draw it. So it begins by drawing and then like, what the heck? I'm going to have to investigate this. This is a project. This is a Sherlock Holmes case. So that's, I guess, how I tend to approach things.
Great. Love it. Kristin, how about you? What's something from your background that maybe people wouldn't expect that informs your nature journaling in an unusual way?
I was a middle school math and science teacher for 23 years, and I just made the jump to high school biology and physiology. But mostly, marrying the scientific sketching, and I had students use visual journals instead of line composition notebooks, and I had them use sketchbooks, and it went pretty well. I haven't tried it in high school yet, but I would like to eventually have my students do nature journaling in high school. So this is like my own, I'm just a learner, and I like drawing, and I didn't know how to marry the two. And then 5 years ago, I went to a Cal Academy nature journaling thing called Drawing Fish. My family's like, what? I'm like, I'm going there to draw fish. And there was a guy there, I think you were there, Marley, and you kept drawing like pages and pages of the same fish over and over. And then I was hooked after that. So I would say 5 years ago in John Muir Laws, and I ran and bought the book, and then my love for drawing and then teaching just came together.
Nice. That was a great, Cal Academy is a great place to nature journal there. And I think it was the alligator gars that I drew over and over and over again.
Yeah, with the pointy nose.
Yeah, nice one. Great. All right. How about you, Melinda? What's something from your background that maybe people don't know about that influences your nature journaling?
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to be present and listening to each speaker and just trusting that like the right thing will come up for me. I think what comes up right now is that I grew up on a nursery. My parents grew flowers, carnations. And so I spent most of my childhood picking apart plants, playing in the yard. I did Japanese flower arranging since I was a kid because my mom and aunts, you know, were teachers and was kind of forced to do that. And then I took over the family business of a flower shop for about 10 years. So my background before I went back to college was all very nature and plant based. But I guess I hadn't really realized how much I know about plants. And it's not book knowledge. It's not it's not botany. It was all what's the word I'm looking for? Like lived experience of handling the flowers, of knowing what kind of flowers will wilt just by looking at the plant. I just get a sense of it, which materials would work well together, and understanding what's normal in that plant and why is that so unusual. So I think that has become a really big part of who I am. And so then the thought came, it doesn't, like, this is what's so cool is like, even with all that knowledge, there's so much more to learn. And I think that's what makes me more excited about plants. I'm trying to, I'm working on, I've got a different plants going on in my journal, and one is hydrangeas, and like trying to understand like why when I cut back my hydrangeas it didn't have flowers the next year, but then the following year it does. And now I'm like tracking like what's going on with each stem and where the flowers, and something that no one else would be really interested in, but I'm learning for my own curiosity and interest. And those pages are probably not going to be very interesting to anybody, but using the nature journal to expand what I already like, my past knowledge, to expand beyond what I already know to that new, you know, those new things that you might not even find in a textbook.
Wow, that's really cool. Thanks, Melinda. That's awesome. Yeah. Karen, how about you? What's something from your background that maybe people don't know about?
Walruses. In 2010, I was on an icebreaker in the Arctic, and I was there to tell stories in words, but I got hit by an emotion hearing stories about walruses. We were going from the open sea into the ice pack, and there were walruses all over the floes of ice. And we were leaning over the rail watching them. And someone told me a story that I knew I had to put into my blog, and I couldn't write it. It was too exciting, emotional, upsetting to me. And so I grabbed something out of my very recent past, because I had started doing something called Doodle Journaling for a children's book called Doodle Bug that was about a girl with ADD who gets in trouble for doodling in school. And the whole book is told back and forth between writing and doodling. And so I decided to try to tell the walrus story in the same way. And it wound up being my first science comic. So having stories to tell that I couldn't just tell in words, I have to tell in images.
That is awesome. And I'm definitely going to have to, maybe you could put the link to that book or something about that science comic in the private chat. And then I will put that in the description, because that sounds awesome.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you. How about you, Kate? Tell us something about your background that you use in an unusual way and apply to nature journaling.
Sure. So I had a little bit more time to think, but here's something you're not going to find on, LinkedIn or the bio from the Wild Wonder Conference. When I was growing up, my mom is a wonderful singer, and my sister has an incredible voice. My other sister, I have two sisters. The other sister can harmonize. My mom and I can harmonize as well. So we started this gospel quartet when I was in high school. And we were never really very good. It turns out I had not yet learned the importance of practice. That didn't come until later in my life. But we would sing, and we had that joy in it. But here's the thing about harmonizing and singing at the same time is that you're doing something, but then we all had to listen to each other and kind of calibrate to each other. And I think that taught me, and this is a fairly recent breakthrough, but I think it taught me to be observing and doing at the same time. That when you get into that flow, it's whatever the sensory perception is just kind of flowing through you. And it's a really engaging, it's an incredibly enveloping and communal experience. And all of those attributes I now find in nature journaling. And don't ask me to sing, it's been years, but I remember that experience, and it just feels like that's unexpected but foundational to this observational practice.
Awesome. It looks like we might have just temporarily lost Melinda here. Oh, here she's back. All right, just in time for the lightning round. So just to keep things fun here, we're going to go into the lightning round, and we're going to start off with short questions. So we'll go back starting with Kate, at least at the beginning. Oh, look here. First of all, I have to post this because Lori knows about your avocado tree back there. And so for anyone who hasn't watched that, I mean, there's a ton of Kate has a whole bunch of posts on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram, right? About that whole project, 100 Days of Journaling, that avocado pit as it sprouted. And I did an interview with her about that. It was a super cool project during quarantine. So glad that Lori noticed that. We have a celebrity in the background here with Kate. Okay, so going back to the lightning round. Oh, I should put up the, I actually have a banner here. So everybody make your best lightning sound. That was a trick question, by the way. Lightning, thunder, I don't know which one makes the actual sound. Anyways, so first we're going to start with some quick questions. So we'll go through starting with Kate, going to Mark. So just leave unmuted. Unless your pet is farting in the background, then you can mute. So we will first there'll be sort of yes or no or one word answers, and then there'll be longer ones. So starting with Kate and going through to Mark. First question, is coffee an essential art supply?
Abso-flippin-lutely.
Definitely.
Tea.
Cafe Americano.
Is for me.
Okay, next question. Are you a neat or messy artist?
Messy.
Okay.
Messy.
Messy.
The page is tidy, but my space is a mess.
Okay, good distinction.
Messy.
All right.
We hear plurality.
Okay. All right. Walt Whitman said we contain multitudes. So, all right. Next question. Do you eat snacks while you're nature journaling or making art? Yes or no?
Every 2.5 hours, as my plan tells me to.
Yes, carrots.
No.
Yes, I've dipped my watercolor brush in my coffee cup.
No, not enough hands.
All right. Next question. Graphite or ink?
Okay, I just have to jump in to say, Marla, your dichotomous thinking, we're beyond the binary world. It doesn't have to be an either or, right? But I will say, if I had to choose, which one should not have to choose, graphite.
Okay.
Ink.
Ink.
Graphite.
What is this graphite thing people are talking about? All the time. Oh, and
That's all.
liquid paper.
There we go.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, last one for the quick answers. Plants or animals? Which would you rather nature journal or draw? Plants or animals?
Plants.
Animals.
Plants.
Animals.
Animal.
Tiebreaker, no.
All right, all right.
Okay,
See
the
your
dichotomy. What about fungi? What about amoeba?
Protists.
Good.
Slime mold.
Protists are popular, yes.
What a difficult group here. Okay, so these are your last two questions for the lightning round. And we'll start with Mark and then go back this way. If you could have, and some of you have been on this show before, so you've maybe answered this question before, so don't think about it too much. But if you could have a nature journaling or artistic superpower, what would it be?
I've had too much time to think about this.
Oh my gosh.
So I've overthought it. I have. I mean, I was going to say Batman's superpower is he's really rich, which would facilitate things, but that's. So I don't know. No, I've overthought it. I'm overthought. Let's move on.
All right, Kristin, I guess Mark's being super rich isn't exactly a superpower per se, but we'll move on to Kristin.
I know I would look insane, but I want a big fat newspaper pad as a nature journal. I would like a really big book, and just to be able to, I don't know, roll it and carry it, and I would like to be able to fill up a huge page when I'm out in the field.
Awesome. Never heard that one before of the 50 people I've asked that question.
My superpower would be to fly high in the sky and dive deep in the ocean.
Awesome.
I need time to stop. I don't have enough time ever to draw.
Great one.
I would like to be able to smell, touch, eat, and lick anything in nature without any adverse effects.
Yeah.
Great.
Can you imagine those mushrooms that you're not supposed to eat, or what a worm smells like or tastes like? No poison ivy, no poison oak. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. These are really good ones. Okay, so now this is our last question for the lightning round. If you were stuck on a desert island and you could only have 5 nature journaling supplies with you, your survival is already, you don't have to bring a can opener or canned food or toilet paper or anything like that, just art supplies, because that's more important anyways, right? What 5 art supplies would you bring? And there's a ton of cool things to look at on this desert island. It's one of those tropical ones, what would you bring with you? We'll go, Kate through to Mark.
Endless supply of index cards, because you can tape them together and make bigger spreads. Mechanical pencil, watercolors, water brush, and the arm sock. I'm a basic gal. That's all I need.
Great. Okay. Karen?
India ink, a really big wall. I would take the time to do a mural.
Ooh.
So I would need all the paint for a mural, and some kind of device for scaling things up onto the wall, a projector.
You still have one more.
Oh, raw talent. I don't know.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Awesome. All right. How about you, Melinda?
Okay. Endless journals.
Ooh.
My fountain pen. Does ink count? Ink and fountain pen, is that one?
Sure. Yeah, we'll give you that.
Okay. My watercolors and a water brush with water.
I think you still have one more.
Oh, I do. Chocolate. Dark chocolate.
Ooh, wow. Okay. That was survival supplies were already included, so chocolate is one of those. Okay, Kristin, how about you?
I like makeup, so I would want to have makeup brushes / watercolor brushes,
Ooh,
and then makeup / watercolor, where my face.
Okay.
in my notebook. And pencils and erasers. Recycle. Maybe I could take paper and shred it and remake the paper, like the pulp. Like,
ooh, wow. Lots of sort of like lateral thinking going on here and stacking functions. Awesome. All right, Kristin, nice one. How about you, Mark?
Well, we have established previously by majority vote that coffee is an art supply.
yes.
So that falls under the art supply category. That's going to take one of my
So
slots.
you don't want to count that as a survival supply then?
No, it's an art supply. We had this conversation.
Okay, so you're giving up. That counts as one of your 5 then.
Yeah.
I know you're a minute. Go ahead.
Okay.
1.
Pens. And the water brush and the watercolors are going to come in handy.
Wait, what kind of pens?
Ideally, probably these like felt tips. The zebra sign pens. Yeah,
Okay.
they're my jam. And I think if I were just stuck in one place for years, rather than like sketchbooks, I would probably opt for like just one continuous, endless paper scroll.
Okay, so then there was the watercolor, water brushes, and then a scroll or something.
Like a kind of maybe 18 to 24-inch paper scroll. So you can just kind of record everything on one endless sheet of paper that go on and on and on and never stop. That'd be so fun. I love drawing on paper scrolls. Awesome.
Okay, that is really a cool list from everybody, and this isn't just a hypothetical question. I just wrote a grant, and I have enough money to send 6 people to separate desert islands. So officially have just signed up for that project, and we will send your nature journals back to the Nature Journal Club on Facebook so everyone can enjoy that there. Well, this has been super, super fun. Let me turn off the lightning round banner, and I'm actually going to put up the link for people to sign up for the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference. So you just got I feel like a really good look at 5 of the instructors that are going to be there. I know I personally want to take all of their classes. I've also learned some great wisdom from some of them that maybe I shouldn't actually sign up for all of the classes and try to stuff my schedule with all of them. Maybe I should do some in a more intentional way as a recorded version. Well, thank you all so much for being here today and volunteering your time to share a little bit about your class. And I look forward to seeing you all in the conference and learn from all of you. And thanks everybody that joined in. It's been super fun. Thanks to all of the people that joined in for the live and people who are watching this later at home. Thank you also. All right, everybody, thanks again for joining. You're all awesome. I want to take all of your classes.
Thanks,
Thanks, Marley.